Welcome to Lending Forward, a podcast where we're lending every bit of what we know to our listeners. From real conversations and lessons learned deep within the industry to education and forward thinking. Together, we're lending forward. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channels and connect with us on www.atlanticbay.com. Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, LLC, NMLS number 72043, NMLSconsumeraccess.org is an equal opportunity lender located at 600 Lynn Haven Parkway, Suite 203, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23452. Welcome to another episode of Lending Forward. I'm your host, Taylor Ellard, and joining us today is the one and only Reece Cohen down in Atlanta. Welcome, Reece.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we're excited. So in the name of Homeownership Week and all things homeownership, we are in the middle of June. And so we thought, why not talk about refis? So Reece, tell everyone who might not know anything about you, how you got into this industry, what's keeping you passionate. Give us a little skinny.
Yeah, so I got in the industry about 17, almost 18 years ago. Was looking for something to do that was more local to the Atlanta area. I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and to keep a long story short, I just stumbled into the mortgage industry, and here I am now. It's been a great career move, and it's very entrepreneurial, and it let me stay local to the Atlanta area and grow my business, using my connections.
I love it. So 17, almost 18 years, you've seen the ebbs and flows of the industry, the good, the bad, the in-between, the normal, not so normal. And walk us through the refi boom that we've just experienced not too long ago. But for some who are maybe sitting on the fence or the sidelines waiting to get into the game, it probably feels like it was a while ago because you've seen rates go back up a little bit. Walk us through kind of what you were doing during that refi boom. What were some light bulb moments for you? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so it was unlike any other refi boom in the past, where it was definitely a longer period. And what was I doing? I wasn't sleeping much. That's for sure. But it's as the saying goes, you make hay while the sun shines. So right. I was. You had to stay focused. Make sure everyone was getting taken care of. Make sure you took advantage of pretty much every opportunity out there to help your clients, because you never know when things would change. And as we see now, things changed. And so you have to readjust your business again. But during the refi boom, you really had to be prepared because everybody knew rates had dropped. Everybody wanted to refi. Everyone wanted to take advantage of it. Sometimes it just seemed like there wasn't enough hours in the day to help everyone that wanted to get into the pool to refinance. And so when rates pull back like this, you have to focus on helping clients that are buying now at a slightly elevated rate. You also have to prepare and have them prepped to take advantage of a refi down the road, because we know it's coming. Right.
And so let's just explain for those first-time home buyers who maybe bought last year, they're not quite ready to refi. What does the process of a refinance look like?
So the process of a refinance it's very similar to the process of purchasing. There's some slightly lower closing costs. Some fees you don't have to pay from a tax perspective, and some title work you might not have to pay again. But you're still going to have attorney or title fees. You may not have an appraisal, but there are some fees that are more streamlined. But you'll still have to go through the approval process. Still have to verify your income and your employment, and hopefully you've gained equity in your home, so there's a good chance you won't have to show any assets to do a refinance. And in some cases, you might have gained equity that you could take some cash out and lower your interest rate to improve your situation even more.
What would you say are the biggest benefits to a refinance?
So the biggest benefits to a refinance are going to be a lower monthly payment in many cases, or consolidating debt and lowering your overall your cash flow, improving your cash flow process. So for example, if you've gained equity in your home and maybe you have a credit card payment you need to take care of, it, or a car loan that you want to pay off. In addition to, reducing your interest rate, you could roll that potentially into a new mortgage and have a lower interest rate on your mortgage, as well as get rid of additional debt that might be $1,000 a month that you can roll into your loan and really capitalize on your cash flow.
Certainly. I mean, there's so much savings that come along with it. And I do wonder, what is your typical response when you've got a buyer or someone who bought, a year ago, and they're sitting at maybe a 5.9 credit score? How much should it decrease before you're like, yeah, okay, let's go ahead and refi? What would your recommendation be?
So I always have that conversation with my clients. There's not a rule of thumb. Technically, you have to drop your interest rate at 1% or 1.5%. I always say, what makes sense to you? What's your goal? If your goal is a lower payment and you drop it 0.25%, but it doesn't cost you anything and you're saving money, well, that might make sense to you. If you're going to save $100 a month and it doesn't cost you anything to refinance, why not do it? Some people want to look at it specifically from a rate standpoint. I want to save $300 a month or I'm not going to refinance. Well, it's wherever that threshold is of the client. So there's not necessarily a rule of thumb. It's all based on what each individual homeowner's goal is. Is it to get just a lower payment? Is it to pay off their loan faster? Let's move you from a 30-year to a 15-year. Your payment might be higher, but your interest rate's going to be lower and you're going to knock, let's say 10 years off your loan or something like that. So we look at every situation and guide a client based on what their long-term goals are.
Absolutely. And that's really on the loan officers and mortgage bankers to be able to have those conversations and, open up the lines of communication there. So about when are you having those conversations? Is that kind of, hey, Taylor, you're looking to save $300. Well, we're going to have to wait until it gets to this. Do you have that on the front end, or at what point do you have those conversations?
So not sure if this is the question you're asking, but in this market with rates, again, maybe more than double of what they were 1 to 2 years ago, I'm having that conversation as they're buying. So we talk about, and that's a question a lot of clients have, is when can I refinance? So we talk about that as we're going through the loan application in many instances. Hey, this is what rates are now. Let's go ahead and make sure that you're prepared for a possible refinance 6 months from now, a year from now, and this is what it would look like. So I kind of tee up the clients now so that they already have the refinance option in the back of their mind, so that when the market does shift and refinances are more prevalent, they're ready to, it's already in their minds of what they'll need to do to get prepared to refinance.
That's so smart to make them ready. And as soon as, you make that phone call, they already know what they're going to expect from that conversation, how it's going to go, and how much you're going to save them. And I know right now, we're kind of in the weeds with it. Rates are a little bit higher and, it's not necessarily a normal market, but it kind of is to a certain extent. We've still got that low inventory. We're combating the rates. It's competitive out there. People are shopping. And what is your rate conversation? If you're being shopped, what does that conversation look like that you're having?
Well, one of the first things I mentioned is, let's talk about a 50-year average. So the 50-year average of 30-year fixed interest rate is 7.75%. So when I throw that out, I say we're still below a 50-year average of interest rates. You might pay, 15 or 20% on a credit card or 7% on a car loan right now. Why are you complaining about a 6% interest rate? And kind of bring things into perspective. I mean, we had a 2 to 3 year period of generationally low interest rates. So it's more of, it's what we have to live with right now. It's what the environment is. So if you think about things in the big picture, it kind of makes sense. People get too fixated on 2 years ago. I say you got to live in the present and deal with what we have and find that perfect home. And I know the saying is, marry the house, date the rate. It's used a lot, but that's true. Once you find that home, it's going to continue to appreciate and interest rates will drop. I always tell clients, I can't sign that in paper, but I'm 99% sure that this won't be your long-term interest rate.
Right.
You will have a chance to refinance and take advantage of a lower rate down the road.
And just because you have that industry experience and you've seen the market shift multiple times, it's not a matter of if, like you said, it's a matter of when. And so what are you nobody has a crystal ball. I've asked Barry Habib this, if we had to kind of guess, what are we thinking? What are you hearing down in the Atlanta market? Because every market is different, right? But what we are still all seeing is multiple offers, and you're lucky if you get it at ask. It's just it just depends on where you are. So what kind of does the market look like down in Atlanta, one, and then two, where do you kind of think it's going to go for the rest of the year?
So I don't see inventory loosening up much yet. And you're right. I mean, pretty much every contract that I'm getting is definitely most of them are well above list price. I mean, well above list price. The good thing is, everything is still appraising and the market is still solid from that standpoint. But yes, it's very competitive. We're having very, very little movement with contingencies. If you want to go into contract, most of my clients have to be ready to make an offer with no financing contingency or very little. Sometimes a 3 to 5 day due diligence. So you have to be prepared to go into an offer with little leeway of that you'll have from a contingency standpoint.
Right.
As far as down the road, if rates drop some, as we're all hoping and expecting in the next 6 months, I think that might loosen up a little inventory for the people who want to move, but don't want to move for a 6 or 7% interest rate, but they would move for a 5% interest rate. Well, that might bring, a nice bit of inventory back to the market for the people who haven't decided to put their homes on the market yet.
Right. I think one of the biggest things that people need to be talking about right now is that if you're already seeing in this market today, you're already seeing multiple offers on homes and they're all selling. What does happen when those rates hit 5? Even more people are going to flood the market. And we're going to see something that we kind of got a glimmer of a couple of years ago, even more and more. And so I do think, what would be one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's actually on the sidelines, just like you said, I'll move for the 5%. But now 6 or 7, I don't know, I'm going to stay put, keep renting, or stay in this home that I've got, a 3% rate on or less, right? What piece of advice would you give them?
Piece of advice I'd give for those clients is you need to be prepared from a financing standpoint, because these rates could drop at any time. I mean, it'll probably be a little bit of a slight decline as it moves, but we could be in the 5s within weeks if the market shifted in the right way. And then you'll be caught not ready to proceed as fast as you would if you kind of prepared yourself to make that move now, knowing that rates will drop in the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever that time period is. So it's best to be prepared so that when it does happen, and it will happen, you're ready to take advantage of it.
For sure. I love it. Well, all right. you're on Lending Forward. I'm going to ask you, how are you lending forward for what hopes to be the better half of 2023?
And as far as getting prepared for the rest of the year?
You can take it however you want.
Okay. So I'm making sure I'm staying on top of my client database and that everyone is aware of what's going on in the market. I am reaching out to anyone that's in the market and giving them updates on what rates look like, what they can expect, whether they're under contract now or looking to potentially refinance down the road. Just kind of making sure everyone is in touch with what is going on so that they'll be prepared to take advantage of any opportunities for the second half of 2023.
Well, great. Well, I'm excited to
see. And realtors who are in the market as well, just so that they're aware of what we are projecting.
Absolutely. It's important. I mean, education is everything. Buying power is everything. So I'm excited to see where it goes, but we're so appreciative of having you on Lending Forward, Reece. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to the Lending Forward podcast powered by Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. Don't forget to tune in next week and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Remember, we all play a part in lending forward. So go lend something forward today.